all these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get a
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not
don't have
be
the
convinced
bullback
to
across
enter
the
long
trend.
trade.
Hello friends, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum. We're switching up how the videos are going to go because it's June 1st. And we're going to have Bitcoin and Ethereum be in the starting two, so they're going to stick around in every video. And then rotating, we had a pretty even split in terms of members wanting BCH and IOTA. And EOS was up there as well. And then Twitter still wants Litecoin. So we're going to switch off with EOS and IOT one day. And then the next day we'll go Litecoin and BCH. And that will be the GDAX day where we have all four names from GDAX. So we'll switch off every other day. Today is going to be EOS and IOT. They're both on Bitfinex, and I'm still going to be looking in US dollars because I trade the big three in US dollars. And for me, the conversion is very easy to see, or the comparison in terms of how we are compared to Bitcoin. If you are not comfortable doing it this way, then you use EOS BTC chart, or if you're trading in Bitcoin, then you're using the EOS BTC chart. But again, I can look at a glance on the daily of Bitcoin and then compare these names on their daily chart and see who's stronger, what kind of correlation there is, and things like that. So for Bitcoin to start it off here, we have a little bit of a double top, 7,610 and 7,600, and they're both rejecting right off the 12-period exponential resistance. So we're pulling back. We still have a daily inside bar to be watching. And if we form that way, we still have 4 or 5 hours to go. If we form that way, we will be watching how the inside bar breaks tomorrow. I would anticipate a bear break just because now we're topping out on the bounce. We're looking to pull back, establish a higher low. The bulls really would love to hold 7,200 for that higher low. And then we need to see continuation for the higher high. So the same thing that we saw on the 4-hour time frame over the past 2 days. Again, we're just zooming out and looking for it on a different time frame. There's our higher low, and there's our higher high. So this would essentially be the daily chart topping out, then the daily chart looking for the higher low and the higher high. So the reason that we're confident that the top looks like it is set at this point is because we have lost the 4-hour higher low pattern. This was a support level established at 7,415. We came down, hit that level, came up, and tried to see continuation to a higher high and rejected, and that's where we formed that double top and then dropped down. So if you look at that on the hourly time frame, it's a shift to a lower high and then a lower low. And again, these volume dumps are pretty fierce when they happen. They're swift and quick. And we've seen 3 times now where we have an all-out dump and then a slow recovery. Yesterday, it lasted into all night. Today, we have another slow recovery, 5 hours of this bounce. It's not a very meaningful bounce, but we're not seeing, all-out bear continuation after the initial dump. So where we stand, key resistance at the double top. Support right now is 7,351 and then 7,272. Bulls would love to hold that level. Pretty much the least amount of consolidation on the daily chart to form that higher low, the better for the bulls is what we're looking for. If we get the higher low and higher high, we're going to see a bull MAC decross along with it. We're then going to be confident that our weekly higher low has been set. It is a bullish reversal candlestick, but we're not confident until the daily trend changes. And then we'll be watching for the potential of turning these exponential moving averages into support. So that's where we stand on Bitcoin. Bears have short-term control, but we do still have this inside bar to be watching. So it's not game over for the bulls, but it's just not looking like we're going to need some further consolidation to establish this daily higher low. So Ethereum in comparison on its daily chart, same thing. We have about pretty much a double top, 589 and 588, both rejecting just under the exponential resistance. Inside bar is still forming, so we'll be watching that into tomorrow. Bull MAC decross is ready to go if we can get a higher low and a higher high. And the 4-hour time frame, we still have a higher low pattern, so that is a difference with Bitcoin. Support is 56111. And we're still holding that level. We're coming down to test it now. I would assume it's going to break as support to follow along with Bitcoin. And then the next level is down at 541.23. So the same scenario, when we lose the 4-hour higher low pattern, we look for the daily lower high to be set, and we look for the need for the bulls to establish a higher low. Bulls have a lot of space to work with. Anything above 507 can be a higher low. So we could technically drop 10% from where we stand right now and be at that low. So any kind of pullback, 4 or 5%, we'll look for that higher low and see if the bulls can get the continuation. Red flags on this consolidation would be increasing bear volume. So if we see increasing bear volume on a red candlestick on the daily time frame, the odds that the bulls are going to be able to pull this off to see a reversal on the daily time frame will decrease a little bit. Bitcoin, we can go back and look at the 4-hour time frame for previous bounces because it's similar, absolutely. We had 2 daily bounces that were rejected from the exponential resistance. So let's look at that real quick. So here they are, bounce rejection, that was on May 15th, and then a bounce rejection on May 20th. So on the 4-hour time frame, we go and locate that and say, what did it look like at that on that bounce? And we can see the 4-hour time frame had our low, we had our high, higher low, higher high, and then we lost it. There's our lower high and lower low, and then we came all the way down to a new low on increasing bear volume on these candlesticks. Then we had another one, higher low, higher high, and then it just faded down, high bear volume, seeing the break for continuation. So you might be saying, why are we not going to see this happen again? It's possible we do. It is possible we drop back down and break $7,058 support. The difference this time is the daily RSI. So looking back at those previous time frames on the daily, one time we bounced in the low 40s, the next time the upper 30s, but here we are bouncing off the 30 mark right at oversold, which historically has seen a couple bounces in the last few months. And historically, we haven't gotten very far below where we did bounce from in 2018 on these pullbacks. So that's the difference here. The daily RSI gives the bulls a little bit more hope that this time will be different. But again, the setup right now is very similar, and it's going to be up to the bulls to prove themselves on a recovery with the daily higher low and a shift in momentum back in the bulls' favor. EOS USD, so just looking at the daily chart, I can tell it's one step ahead because it has a daily higher low already formed. We hit the low of the pullback down at 1033. The high of the bounce was up at 1299. Then we pulled back and formed a higher low, just barely, 1070. Actually pretty significantly, 1034 to 1070, higher low. And now we're looking at a lower high still there. So we're getting real tight. There's a daily inside bar forming. The bulls need to see a break of 1299 for continuation. And it's essentially a few days ahead of what Bitcoin is looking to do. Bitcoin's looking to reject from the 12 period, pull back, form a higher low, ideally a little bit higher than this to show a little bit more strength, and then continuation. So right now, EOS USD is in the continuation phase, looking to get over these exponential resistances. But look at these rejections time and time again. You certainly know I like these exponential moving averages at this point, the 12 and 26. We rejected on the initial bounce attempt, another 2 rejections, and now we've got about a half dozen rejections in a row with some upper wicks of profit taking showing that resistance rejecting the price. So the 4-hour time frame clearly has higher lows still intact, so we're not confident that our daily top of this bounce is set until we lose the 4-hour higher lows. 1185 and 1166 are those levels, and resistance 1271 and 1299 still stand. So you can see the chart is tightening up right now, and the 4-hour time frame trying to stay bullish, and we'll see if the bulls are able to do that. If we lose the 4-hour higher low pattern, that means just another daily lower high, and it's more of an equilibrium at that point where we have our low, high of the bounce, higher low. This will be a lower high, and the bulls will look to pull back and form a higher low compared to 1070 if we lose that 4-hour higher low pattern. So a little bit more developed here on EOS. People have been using EOS or IOTA to get some little micro signals before moves on the major names, and in some instances they have worked. And we are watching to see if we were to get a bull break on these names and the daily trend would change, then that would give us a little bit more confidence. And we do definitely know that we're looking for a higher low on the weekly time frame for EOS. It's coming after a bull break to all-time highs. This is still a healthy consolidation. It's on declining bear volume, a little bit of lower wicks each week showing the bulls buying this dip, and we're just looking for the weekly higher low to be set. IOTA USD also stronger. So look at the size of the bounce. We are over exponential resistance. We rejected from it initially and then blew right through it. Inside bar bull break was 165, and here we are significantly higher than that point. So we have broken the daily lower highs. There were a couple daily lower highs that have broken on this move. Again, different than Bitcoin because Bitcoin has not seen, let's compare, here's the daily chart, have not broken any lower highs, and we're not over exponential resistance like IOT is, much more significant bounce. So the low of 133 up to 190, essentially a 50% bounce in IOT USD on this move. Obviously, Bitcoin nowhere near that strong. So at this point, the 4-hour RSI is getting a bit extended, and we are pulling back from overbought conditions. So our support levels on the 4-hour time frame looking down at 171, and then there's a level down here at 151. So those are our two supports. If we lose, you can see we're tightening here as well. High of the move, higher, actually this looks like a higher low right here of 177, now a lower high. So the hourly chart is giving us a bit of an equilibrium. And we'll see if the hourly, or I should say the 4-hour higher lows can hold. If we lose the 4-hour higher lows, again, the daily top of the move is in, and we look for consolidation to form the higher low. The odds of IOT being able to form a daily higher low and higher high to see continuation are high, and that's because we have broken the lower highs. Because the other names have not broken the daily lower highs, the odds are a little bit more up in the air than if they had broken their lower highs on the initial bounce from the low, like IOT has. Weekly time frame, same thing. The weekly chart has broken the lower highs. That is notable. So we have our higher low already established on the weekly chart at 133, and now the bulls are trying to make their way up to 270 to continue following through with this trend change back in favor of the bulls. If we top out before 270, it'll be just another weekly equilibrium like so many names that we are watching, but definitely a stronger bounce than the other names that we're watching. Bullish engulfing candlestick on the weekly time frame. So that's where we stand out of the big four. Overall, watching for this consolidation, watching the daily inside bars. So I'm already shifting a little bit bearish in the short term, anticipating that we need a daily higher low. If we see the daily inside bars bear break tomorrow, that will confirm it. And then we need to be watching volume and watch for healthy consolidation over this weekend for the bulls to establish a daily higher low. I do still have an ETH position, a swing position. I keep trimming it a little by little, selling a little bit in the 580s, and potentially we'll add if we can form a convincing daily higher low. But honestly, there's been better trading opportunities out there. Canadian MJ is seeing a lot of opportunity this past week. I anticipate some more opportunity this coming week as there's a big Canadian vote coming up. But so I'll probably wait for this daily pattern to play out and not try and risk establishing that support and hoping that the bulls can pull off that daily higher low. So I appreciate you watching. That's the Friday wrap up. Tomorrow we'll have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and BCH. And to wrap it up for today's Do Good Thing, I want to talk about water. And this is inspired by a spring that I drank from while I was in Yosemite. And I'll post a little video of that at the end. But springs are when the water comes straight out of the ground and there's there's still risk of contamination, but the risk is much, much lower because it's not exposed and seeing all this bioaccumulation as it is, aggregating in rivers and streams and things. And also humans haven't had their hands on it to mess with it yet. But I want to talk about water cleanness, and something that a lot of people don't really think about is drinking tap water, and people drink a ton of tap water. And I'm not the kind of person that'll never drink tap water. If I need water and I'm really thirsty and I don't have any, I'm going to drink the tap water because I believe that anything in moderation is fine. But if you're talking about something you're drinking every single day, I don't trust what's in the tap water. We've seen way too many instances where, I don't even have to mention Detroit or I should say Flint, and the water crisis that's going on there. But just these pipes, old infrastructure, pipes where things are getting into it. I don't want to be drinking fluoride and chlorine. I'm okay without that. I can brush my teeth with fluoride if I want to. That should be, something that I choose to do, not something that's really forced upon me in my water. But either way, the bottom line is get a filter, because something that you're doing every day builds up in your body. And I do believe that if you drink unhealthy tap water and there's something in there that you're unaware of for decades, that's going to have a long-term effect on your body. So whether it's even just a little Brita filter or whether you go all out, they have charcoal filters and things like that. Personally, I would rather just go and fill up big 5-gallon water. If you have obviously a spring near you, which I did in Asheville, that was wonderful. But either filling it up with spring water or going to a grocery store that has filtered water. Bottom line is, it's very important. It's obviously the life force, and not knowing what's in it is not a good thing. So I'll leave you with that. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you tomorrow.